First question. Do you
Every
think
person is important.
the first question? Do you think the internet will ever catch up? Okay. Okay. So we have Vincenzo. Now, am I calling you Lyqa?
It's Lyqa.
Lyqa, great. And Mikey, who we've met earlier. We're not talking about brands now. We're talking about life as a creator. We're talking about how you built your channels, how you found success, where you have succeeded, but also maybe where you've made mistakes and along the way, because we're all human after all, even Mikey. So, Vincenzo, we've not met you yet. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your channels and what do you do?
So my name is Vincenzo. Can you try and say it?
Vincenzo.
If you do this, it comes naturally. So I do Italian cooking on YouTube. So what I do is a very specific niche, you know, like it's something that I created in 2014 because traveling the world, I've noticed that Italian cuisine was not done the right way. Growing up in a big Italian family, traditions for me is important. So I wanted to create this channel to teach the planet how to make Italian food in your own kitchen. So it's not easy because it's a very specific niche, but we're doing it. After 8 years, we're still going. What can I say? It's a fun journey, and I recommend anyone to start a channel. And you need the passion, that's what you need.
And in your case, garlic.
Lots of garlic, you need the wine, you need the music, and love.
I did try. I asked Vincenzo to come and stay at my house while he was in Singapore, so he could teach me. But Lyqa, tell us about yourself.
Okay, my name is Lyqa, and I'm an educational content creator. So if any of you think that you can't learn anything online, I'm here to kind of break that barrier. I know a lot of parents, especially in the Philippines, would tell their kids to stop using the internet, like you won't learn anything from that, nothing good's going to come out of it. But I've always believed that the internet is a tool. So it depends on who's holding that tool to create either good things or bad things. And for me, it's a free way for me to teach and reach people from all over the Philippines and maybe the entire world and bridge the gap between the people who can afford private tutoring or review services and those who cannot. And I'm hoping that it'll open a lot of doors of opportunities for the kids and learners out there who love learning.
Brilliant. And Mikey, you were on stage just before, so I'm not going to ask you the same question about the ants. But one of the biggest questions that people ask creators is, how did you grow your channel? How did you grow your audience? What are the tricks? What are the shortcuts? Are there any shortcuts? So you've been you one of the OGs.
Yeah. Of the 3 channels that I run, I found there was kind of a general trend. It was kind of like a slow rise, and then one video that just skyrockets and it just catapults the rest of the growth. And for my 3 channels, that slow rise was different times. So, for example, my Filipino comedy channel, it took me 2 months of just uploading every single day. And that on February 25th, 2011, I started January 1st, it just exploded. And that started the rise of that channel. But my ant channel, which is my biggest channel now, it took 7 years of just slow rise, not really making anything, just kind of doing it for the love. And then that skyrocketed that. My vlogging channel, which is now 6 years old, it's finally starting to get views. Whereas before it was getting, I don't know, not very many. So yeah, for me, for my 3 channels so far, it's never been kind of like a diagonal, and it's never been like a slow rise. It was slow rise, peak, and then just...
And once you have the peak, then how do you grow from there?
Just consistency. So when you get that video that peaks, you need to study it. Study the analytics, figure out what it is about that video that the algorithm loved, that your audience loved, that new audiences that found your channel loved. I tried once, when my first channel went viral, after 2 months, because I had originally created that channel to promote my singing, but the video that made it catapult was a comedy skit, of all things. And so I tried to upload singing videos. I'm like, guys, I sing too, but those videos wouldn't get so many views, and people would be like, no, we want to see more comedy. So then I quickly learned that, you know what, there's an audience here that wants a certain type of content, and so I just continued to cater to that audience, and I find that's a good formula. You can still inject what you originally love into the content, so I started doing parodies, which is singing with the comedy, and that was my way of like fulfilling what I loved about doing that content, but also serving the audience. So I think it's a great thing to just study what your audience loves and keep doing it. Just be careful what you go viral on YouTube for, because you might have to do a lot of content on that.
Lyqa, same question. How have you grown your presence?
It's the same with Mikey, consistency. That's why it's very important to pick like the genre, the topic that you're going to create about. Or it has to be something that you're really passionate about, something that you would do for free. Like that's one of the things I tell people. Like if you're creating content and you're willing to do it for free, that's a good start. Because once you start looking at the views or jumping on trends just because it's the trendiest topic for today, it may not work for you because the rest of the world will be doing that same topic. So it's not sustainable. So you have to find a balance between creating as many videos as you want and creating what you need and making sure it's sustainable too. For me, the inflection point, as I said, for my YouTube channel is actually TikTok. So for those of you who are watching and you're just active on one platform, you may want to consider other platforms to experiment and play around with. TikTok became our marketing tool, kind of, because it helped us get to 1 million on YouTube. We actually got to 1 million on TikTok in, I think, 6 weeks after I started. And then it helped lead other people to my main channel. Now we're on track to getting to 2 million this year or maybe early next year on YouTube too, which in the Philippines is actually a huge number for educational content because people are still there mainly to be entertained, right?
That's fair. And it's different content on the different platforms or same content repurposed?
I need to create a different type of content because TikTok is vertical. So when it comes to real estate, when you're solving math problems, you have to figure out where to put it and where to fit everything. The length is also very important because you can't really teach a lot of complex topics in a minute. And I've had to adapt, like break down different lessons into smaller parts. Like for example, with converting fractions, you need to start with the least common denominator and then to transforming fractions before you get to actually adding fractions. So you have to be creative about it. Study the platforms, their limitations, their strengths. And then whatever you learn from one platform, I learned that you can actually apply to the other. Because it helped me when it comes to creating my YouTube videos too, because I developed that pattern of the hook and the landing, mastered that on TikTok, and now I bring it to my YouTube videos.
Vincenzo, how did you grow your audience?
Well, you have to start from somewhere. So you start from zero. And what I would suggest everyone is when you start, keep in mind that you need your passion. So passion is what you need. Don't look at numbers, don't look, just need to do it because you love what you do. So first thing you need to decide is, okay, what do I love to do? This is the topic, okay. And then you need to be organized. When I say organized, being organized. Like if you work in an office. If you're not organized, the office is a mess. And at the beginning, you also need to find what works. It took time to understand what works, years. Because you do videos and maybe one video does well, one video doesn't do well, and you say, why? And then mentally you start worrying because of the numbers. But you need to keep going, don't stop if the numbers are not good the way you expect. You keep going with passion. There is that thing that they say you keep trying, because eventually you find gold, You have to keep trying. And then you learn during the journey what works, what doesn't. And so what doesn't work, you remove. What works, you keep improving that. I've never been, like you said before, trendy, or for me that was never the thing. I always wanted to do what I love. I don't want to follow trends because it doesn't make me happy, personally. And it it did grow the way we are now. We have over 1 million subscribers on YouTube, 2 million on Facebook, and other platforms. And what you learn over the years is that every platform is different. So you need to learn that. Maybe there is a new platform coming out, and you need to be there if you're a creator. You don't have to, but it's best if you are, because like you said, now TikTok is helping you on YouTube.
And what was your tipping point?
Tipping point was COVID. COVID was great for every creator, I believe. Everyone was home. And at the time of COVID, I started doing reaction videos for food at the same time of Uncle Roger, which we collaborated as well. We did a collaboration, and that's when the channel grew. Like we used to do like 20,000 subscribers a day. That was huge numbers. Like I received emails from the biggest channels that I love, and they said, "Are you doing this?" I had no idea. But before that, I was worried too much about numbers. So I was going through like a phase of going down a little bit because I was not focusing on passion anymore. You know, you get to a point where you focus too much on numbers. Yes, the analytics are good. You need the analytics. But when I say numbers, you keep going, and eventually you succeed, you know?
And collaboration is important.
Very important. You know, we spoke a lot about brands. Brands are very important. But at the same time, you need to remember you're a creator. So you need to create first with passion. And then the right brand will come. And the brand that will support what you do and will love what you do.
As I said earlier, I have 523 subscribers on TikTok. So I'm more than happy to collaborate with you on a pizza video.
But numbers don't count.
So you cook it. I'll eat it.
Yes, and I believe you will help to grow my channel more because you have a personality, and you know it's good to collaborate with people from any size. You know.
Do you work with? There was a lot of conversation about brands and stuff earlier today. Do you work with brands?
Yes, I do. We have a number of brands that we've worked with. And it's fascinating, actually, the way that we partner with them. Like most people would think when you're a creator, the only way for you to integrate the brand into your content would be to maybe post a photo with the product or maybe use it one time in your videos. But the brands have changed the way that they also use creators. For example, for me, I've done storytelling sessions with them. I also have been invited to speak to their consumers and also internally to their employees because there's this long-term relationship when the employees recognize someone like a brand ambassador and see them out in the real world. There's some type of ownership in there. And it's really great that you can work with brands and kind of pitch the other things that you could do aside from having your face beside their product. And a lot of brands are more open to that conversation as well.
And are they educational brands or are they, what kind of brands do you work with?
Well, I work with, I would say, the largest mobile network in the Philippines. What's fun is that they're called Smart. So it's right on the nose for me because I'm smart. And I also work with, educational institutions like British IELTS. I've done a bunch of content with them. Some other things that I feel aren't off-brand, we tend to say no to. But if it's something that I use personally, then that's the kind of brands that we work with. We also did one with Nescafe, because they were trying to introduce Nescafe Black Roast in the Philippines, and it's not for everyone. And because I'm a little bit not for everyone too, they saw that I was a perfect fit for that.
Vincenzo, what brands are you working with?
We work with many brands. Again, I have a niche, so mainly food brands, like big Italian brands like tomato sauce or pastas. But I work also with the French brand Chasseur, an ambassador for Victorinox, the knives, wine company, Squarespace, Universal Music. But what we try to do is to create a partnership, not a partnership. It's all about family for me. So I want to become a family. We work with Chasseur for many years, and we want to keep going. So I want to work with the brand, so my brand relate to that brand. So I'm not going to a competitor tomorrow. I stay with that brand. So now when we work with a brand, we try to create a relationship. And if we don't have that relationship, we say no. You know, if we don't find the thing, we as creators, we're happy the way we're going because we are able to work and make money by creating. The passion is paying us. And then the right brand will come along. And we can do so much for brands. You know how much we can do. So it's nice to be able to create that family relationship with a brand. I think it's very important for us.
How does it, so you talk about food brands and then all of a sudden you throw in Universal Music.
Yes, again, it was related to music that's got to do with food. That was for an Italian artist, Bocelli, and Ed Sheeran. They were doing something together. So they had a budget to work with creators and I said, why not? I did a cooking video using the soundtrack.
Cool. Very cool.
I think, no, that was Ariana Grande. Sorry, it was Ariana Grande, yeah.
Still cool.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
So, Mikey, we've spoken to you a couple of times about the success, growing channels, all your 3 channels, Ants, the brands that you work with and stuff. What mistakes have you made along the way and what did you learn from them?
Mistakes, I suppose the biggest one time I worked with a brand, it was a dating app. I said this on another day, where like foreigners could come to the Philippines, go on this app, and like look for Filipinas to get married with. I don't know why we said yes to that, but we ended up partnering that. But going back, I'm like, you know what? We should have reviewed closely. So now we're really picky with what brands we work with. And a lot of times too, some brands will demand a lot of time. And if it's not in your contract, how many reviews, the videos get, that we quickly learned should be in the contract. You have one major revision session, so they come with your revisions, then one minor, and that's it. And we made that mistake in the past where we had like 25 different revisions and it took so long and it was so frustrating. Reshoots. So that's one thing I think was the hardest to learn.
And how about non-brand? I mean, so sharing. We were always taught to celebrate failure. When I was at Star TV, the CEO of Star TV was always like, "You're going to make a mistake. Everyone, it's life. Learn from it." But have you made any non-brand?
Yeah, I've made non-brand mistakes, yes. Like, for example, taking a picture of our former president. So I'm not political at all. And one time, one of the forerunners for presidency was sitting at a table next to us. And I just took a picture with him because I'm like, cool, someone famous in politics. But then somehow that resurfaced on Twitter and it started this whole thing. And, a big chunk of my audience just completely hated me and canceled me. And I'm not even political. So I've realized now not to touch anything political, not to comment on anything political, anything like that. Even politics in any country.
How could anyone hate you?
Oh, there are many. That's another thing. When you're a creator, you will have haters for no reason, for like the smallest things.
If I can add, haters, they should motivate you. The haters, look at don't look at a negative way. Get motivated by them. Yeah.
They're your biggest
comments,
fans.
Never reply to comments, the bad ones. Use it to motivate you.
Lyqa, what mistakes have you learnt from?
I think my struggle is mostly internal, like thinking that it won't be possible for me. Like when I started creating content, I didn't show my face. I thought that I wasn't the best person for the job. I still am not the best person for the job, but when you're the only person for the job, you can push yourself to do things that you didn't like to do in the first place, and you kind of grow and learn as you go along. So I've said no to a lot of opportunities that I kind of missed out on. And I think for starting creators especially, sometimes you have this mindset that this is who I am, I may never learn how to do this or that. But when you open up your mind to like going out there, like everything you need to learn is basically on the internet too, right? Just spend enough time learning new things, and you'd be surprised at the kind of person you could be. Like, I was talking to some of my friends too, that if this invitation for this event happened 5 years ago, I would have said no. because I would say I wouldn't be able to share what I learned, or maybe it wouldn't be worth all of your time. But now I get to be here and have fun with all of you.
You wouldn't have said no. Of course you did. Anyway, I take that personally.
I probably wouldn't even have opened the email.
He had the ant fight earlier. I'm going to have the...
It wasn't a fight.
No, we're trying to turn it into a cage match, and we're going to sell tickets. And I tell you, one of my favourite mistakes was I was working for an ad agency in the 80s, and I was a kid, and we were pitching for digital in Switzerland, and we put this presentation together that was covered in days of pre-PowerPoint, so it was done on acetates, overhead projectors, and so I was photocopying pictures of digital watches onto this presentation, and then that was being photocopied onto acetates, and I wasn't part of the pitch, but they went over to Switzerland to pitch for it, and halfway through, and the fact that they got halfway through the presentation is brilliant, because the marketing director of the client, this is fantastic, you clearly know everything about digital watches, but we make mainframe computers. But we got invited back to go and say, now go away and learn. So the learning from that was, if you're going to be pitching for a brand, at least know who they are and what they do. So that was quite a long time ago. So we're running a little bit short on time, but for all the younger creators in the room, what advice can you give them for launching their channel? I'm going to start with you, Vincenzo. What advice can you give them?
Okay, so when you start as a creator, you do everything. Okay, you do everything. You do the editing, you do the programming, the photos, the writing, whatever. Everything you have to do. Okay. Eventually, you will become a brand. Okay. So everything you do is a representation of your brand, who you are. What happens when you grow is that you are doing everything. So you're doing the editing, you're doing the posting, you're doing the commenting, this and that, and it's crazy for a while. For a while, you don't have a life because it's hard to start. And plus, you don't have experience. I don't know how to do the editing. I don't know how to use a camera. That's difficult. How to do the right shot. So as you grow, invest in yourself. When I say invest, get help. Get the editor, get someone who can help you with the camera, get someone who can help you to grow, okay? But it's so good for you because you have done all these things by yourself, so you know how things should be done. The SEO, I spent years learning SEO. SEO, what a powerful word.
Search engine optimization.
So powerful. And we have a website, we want to be the #1 website where you search Italian food. And we are there, almost there, okay? It took me forever. So now when I work with an SEO engineer and he wants to charge a lot of money, I say to him, we speak the same language. Help me to grow. So what I'm saying is start from scratch, do everything that you can, learn as much as you can, and when you start having an income, invest. Invest, grow, and create a nice team that can help you to grow and keep going. That's what I can say. I hope it's enough.
And it is a great website as well. It's a little bit with Vincenzo's website. It's like you should never go to a supermarket when you're hungry, because you just absolutely buy the whole supermarket. Never go to your website when you're hungry, because it's wow.
If you do, I appreciate.
And there's some great. And I'm going to talk to you about how much garlic I should put in my chili prawns, but that's another question. Lyqa.
Okay, there's one thing that I hope a lot more creators would do, which is cultivate their offline life. Because I've learned that when your offline life is healthy, the online life follows suit. And when it comes to creating content, it's always value over views. So when you create value for your audience, the views will follow. And trust me in that, because whoever thought that someone teaching algebra, which people hated, would grow to this level. So just remember those things, cultivate your offline life. That's also a deterrent for the bashers or the negative comments. Because if you have a good circle of people who truly know you, no stranger in the internet would hold that power over you. So when you're a kid, that's really important, especially if you're still growing. Just keep creating, keep making your mistakes. And make sure that you also share everything you know, because that's how the entire ecosystem will also grow.
So value your audience and your views will grow. I'm definitely stealing that. If you hear me at the next event saying that, I will just make sure that I credit you on, on that. And final word from you, Mikey.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's been mentioned at CreatorWorld yet, but one advice I'd give to new creators, especially those creators wondering what content they'd like to get into, look into evergreen content. So basically, it's cooking or educational, tutorials, things that aren't really time sensitive. Because I feel like the trap that some creators do, especially when they're young, is they're creating content that hops on the current trend. Now that's great and all. It's great for kind of growing and getting like videos that do well right away. But as a creator that's been around for 13 years, I can see that some of my older videos that are more educational and they're evergreen, they are hardworking. They're harder working than some of my videos that depended on a current trend or a current trending challenge or something like that. Just because I go back and I study, and a lot of my highest performing videos are videos I did years ago, just because they're still relevant no matter what year you watch them, and they earn more money in the long run. So if you're serious about being a creator and you're serious about your longevity as a creator, look into evergreen content. I'm not saying all your videos need to be evergreen. Some can be like the latest trend, to bounce your views back up. Your hero content, as they call it. But evergreen, not doing evergreen content, I think, is one of the biggest mistakes creators can do.
Fantastic. Well,
yeah, it's a very good point. I'm sorry to interrupt. It's a very good point because YouTube loves how-to videos, and they do last forever.
Yeah, tutorials like that. There's so many formats of evergreen content.
And Facebook too now.
Yeah. All of my top performing videos were made 2-3 years ago, up to this day.
And they'll constantly be earning, right? It's just passive income for years and years and years. They're harder working videos, in my opinion.
One more thing I want to say about brands. Sometimes brands now, they want something done quickly. So TikTok, Instagram is quick. YouTube is not quick. It goes forever. So sometimes brands say, I want results within 5 days. But what if I give you results for a lifetime? Why don't you look at that, So sometimes we have to tell this to brands.
Yeah.
And,
I find that's a mistake, a lot of agencies. Let me see how well this campaign did. I mean, it's only been up for 3 months.
That's right.
Give it like 3 years, you'll see it.
If I charge you $100 for this, well, in 10 years, I'll come back to you and I say, I want $1 million now because...
It's an underrated analytic.
All of your content is evergreen, right?
Yeah, kind of, yeah, most of it, yes.
Okay, so we're going to talk about how much garlic I should put in chili prawns.
Not as much.
Okay, so we're definitely out of time. We've got a big surprise, a big treat in store. But Mikey, I asked you this question before, so I'm not going to ask you this time. What's up next for you, Lyqa?
Well, my channel's name is Team Lyqa because I called my subscribers my team. I'm their coach. They're taking tests. I'm their #1 cheerleader. But next year, actually right now, we're currently building out a studio to have other teachers for different topics like chemistry, calculus, to come over, shoot there for free, have those content in our library of content, and hopefully complete all of the lessons necessary for people to go through K-12. And that's been my dream, and I'm hoping to do that for the Philippines first, and maybe through translation other countries.
Fantastic. One of the lights is moving. And with that, final word, what's exciting for you?
It's exciting. We are writing a cookbook, finally, which we want this to be the Italian cookbook everyone has to have, working with an American publisher. And the goal is to sell minimum 1 million copies, and we want to change the culinary world. Doing a studio for me, not to share, a studio, and looking at going worldwide, filming series. And
if you need anyone to help you test the food in the book,
you're the one.
I'm very happy to help.
You're the one, okay.
It's a collaboration with my 521 TikTok followers.
We need that. Well.
I have millions of ants that would love to eat your food.
Vincenzo, Lyqa, Mikey, thank you so much. What we talked about was study your analytics. We talked about following your passion, and this is what every creator says: do what you love, keep going with passion, collaborate, partnership matters. DIY to start with, but then invest in a team. I love this sort of the evergreen content, but then the final word from you, Lyqa, is value your audience and your views will grow. So with that, thank you so much for joining us at CreatorWorld.